Hello everyone, today we're working on a 2008 Toyota Corolla. We're going to be doing a transmission filter change and we're going to be doing a fluid flush. The filter I'll be using today is an ATP, it's an aftermarket brand. And you can also get the ones from Toyota as well, but this is the number for the ATP for this particular car. And the fluid we'll be using today is the Amsoil multi-vehicle ATF. It's a chemically engineered synthetic. Here's a spec sheet on the Amsoil synthetic ATF, the signature series. And first thing I want to show you here is there's two different ones here listed on this page. One is this red one is the older formulation multi-vehicle synthetic ATF, and then the blue bag here, this one right here, is it's a low viscosity fuel efficient synthetic ATF, and that's what most of your newer transmissions are going to call for. The thing about this chemically engineered synthetic is it reduces the operating temperature of your transmission by 20 to 50 degrees over petroleum-based fluids. And the life of the fluid is significantly longer as well. As you drop that temperature out of that transmission, all the soft parts inside last a whole lot longer. All the seals, all the piston seal rings. As you drop the heat by 20 to 50 degrees, the life of those soft components goes up significantly, and that extends your transmission life. And as an example, we have a taxi fleet, severe service taxi fleet field trial. This was in Las Vegas. What they did is they run the Amsoil for 180,000 miles in the transmission, and they selected the transmission to tear apart and see how everything looked. And what you're seeing here is the synthetic Amsoil, even after 180,000 miles, contained 83% of its original oxidation inhibitors. And you can see the valve body here looks absolutely beautiful. The clutches, again, they're clean, very little signs of wear on them. Very good condition. This is the kind of protection in the desert heat of Las Vegas that the Amsoil provides. So one of the best ways to extend the life of your transmission is through the use of that Amsoil Signature Series ATF. As we go down to this next sheet here, it gives you all the specifications, all the ASTM specifications here on the two products. The ATF is the older formulation. The ATL is the low viscosity right here. So as we go to the specifications, here's the applications for the older ATF, and this is just part of them. The rest of it's at the top of the other page. I'll show you that here. Right here is the remainder of the specs for that older ATF. And then right here is the specifications for the low viscosity ATF for most of the newer transmissions. So this gives you all the specifications for that fluid, and it shows you significantly how much better that performs than the regular fluids out there. If you want to extend the life of your automatic transmission, this chemically engineered synthetic Signature Series Amsoil is the best way to do it. And also I have a fluidcapacity.com website. This is my website, fluidcapacity.com. When you get there, this is the home page, and there's a blue button here, Auto and Light Truck Fluid Lookup Guide. You can click on that. There's also one for power sports if you need it for power sports, but we're going to use this one here today. And we enter in the year of the vehicle, 2008. Hit that build list button. It'll bring up all the vehicles A to Z. Go down here to Toyota, and we're dealing with a Corolla. There's the engine size. And on the right side here, it'll bring up all of the fluids that Amsoil recommends for each cavity: your engine, manual tranny, automatic tranny. This automatic tranny is an A245E, and we'll be using the Signature Series multi-vehicle synthetic automatic tranny fluid. Scroll down further, it'll give you all of the fluids, or the filters that are available for it. If there's any chassis lubrication, that'd be grease points for greasing. It's going to tell you how many there are. Here's the engine capacity, oil capacity, the cooling system, automatic transmission. Initial fill is 3.2 quarts. Total fill on this tranny is 7.7, so just under 8 quarts. And then down here below, it's got the some of the torques for some of the different plugs. So this gives you all the information you need for any vehicle that you want to look up, and you can print it and put that in your glove box with your owner's manual, so you don't have to try and find all that information in your owner's manual. It's a very handy tool, so make use of it. This vehicle has right around 60,000 miles on it. Fluid has not been changed yet. It looks not real good on the dipstick, so it looks like it's kind of hard on the transmission fluid, this particular transmission. So we're going to start with dropping the transmission pan, getting the fluid out, changing the filter, and then we'll go on to the flush after we get the new fluid in. So we'll get started. Okay, we're going to drain this fluid out, and we have a plug right here on the bottom of that tranny pan. It's a 14 millimeter. We'll take that out and let that fluid drain. And I'll show you what that stuff looks like. Again, we're looking at just under 60,000 miles, and that fluid looks really kind of nasty. It should be a nice cherry red. And that just tells me this transmission's hard on that fluid. And that synthetic fluid should help that significantly and give you a lot smoother shifting. So we're going to go ahead and drain this out, and then we're going to take the bolts out around that pan. Those are a 10 millimeter head on them. And then we'll get the filter out and get everything cleaned up, and be back with you. Okay, I let it drain out of the pan as much as I could, and I put the plug back in. And I started down here in the back side and started pulling these bolts out towards the front. And we're going to go ahead and take the last few bolts out, and that back of that pan should come down and drain into the pan that I've got. The pan is all down. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull down that transmission filter and get that changed out. Okay, there's 3 bolts holding this filter on. They're 10 millimeter head, and we're going to take those out here next. So there, the filter's down. All right. Next thing we'll do is clean up this pan area. Make sure it's all nice and smooth and clean. What I'll use is a nice sharp gasket scraper. You want to make sure that you don't gouge the aluminum. But we want to get all that dirt off of there before we go up with a new gasket. Okay, we've got this pan here, and I want to show you, again, there's that nasty fluid. It's pretty black. And this here's the stuff we want to get out. That's that dirt load we're talking about. And there's a little bit of silver floating around in there. I don't know if that's bearing material or what it is. Again, we're about 60,000 miles on this transmission, and there's 2 magnets in here. And there should be, I expect, fuzz on there from the break-in, and you can see it right there. That's your wear metals from the break-in. And you pick that magnet up and you get some idea how much is on it. There you go. Okay, so there's that magnet, and then there's one down here. And like I said, you can see all those little glitteries there as well. When the fluid breaks down, usually the transmission follows suit shortly thereafter. So that's why we change that tranny fluid. And there's the second magnet. And again, that's mostly all just break-in fuzz there that you're seeing from the original break-in. And you know, some have less, some have more. Just kind of depends on how much wear is accumulated. But we're going to clean this all up. And these magnets here, what I do with those is I'll take a rag and just soak that stuff up in the rag as much as you can. Get all that stuff off my fingers here if I can. But just soak it into a rag, and that should get most of that oily metal out of there. And once we get that done, then what I'll do is hit it with some ether and make sure you don't have any sparks around you. You're going to have flames. Okay, and then I'll just blow it dry. If there's any leftover metal on it, it should blow off with that. Then you got it nice and clean. You can kind of see the difference in the two there. So we'll do that to the other magnet, and then I'm going to clean the pan all up good. I'm going to take off the pan gasket and get a new gasket on there, and then we'll go back together. We'll be back with you. Okay, we've got the pan all cleaned up. This ATP gasket has some holes that are smaller than the other one, so they'll hold the bolt in place. It makes it really handy for putting it back up again. The magnet goes right here. We got them all cleaned up, and the other one goes right down. I believe it was right over here. Okay, so we'll get them back in, and then we got there's 3 bolts that go in here, and those are going to get torqued to right around, I think it's 42 to around 50 inch-pounds. So I'm going to take these to right around 50 inch-pounds, and the same on these pan gaskets. The bolts are going to be in that 42 to 50 inch-pound range. Okay, so that's where we're going to put those at. So we're going to go down below and get started putting this up, and we'll be back with you. Okay, I've got a nice sharp gasket scraper, and what I want to do is just go around this gasket surface here, make sure it's all good. and you can see there's a little powder was coming off. It's because where we live at, they use way too much road salt, and that road salt starts eating on that aluminum, starts corroding it. So I want to get that all off before I put the gasket on. So I'll get that scraped down nice and smooth, make sure you don't gouge anything. And when you get that done, you can wipe it down with a rag. Run your finger over it, you should be able to feel it, make sure everything's smooth all the way around on that sealing surface. And so I'm going to finish cleaning that up, and then we're going to put that filter up. There's 3 bolts. The long one goes down here on the single tab down here at this end. And remember to use the same bolts you took out of here. Don't get them mixed up with the ones for the pan. And we got 2 bolts for this end. And these are a little shorter bolts. So we're going to put these in, and we're going to torque them to, I'm going to hit them about 50 inch-pounds. So we're going to get them torqued, and the next thing we'll do will be putting up that pan. Okay. Push the pan aside. I've got my filter, or I should say my pan here, ready to go back up. And we've got those bolts in place with the gasket. I just got to find their home here. There it is. Okay, now we're going to start the rest of them bolts while they're all loose, get them all in, and then we're going to torque them to anywhere from 42 to about 50 inch-pounds. So we'll put those all back in, and then we'll be back with you. Okay, we've got all the bolts torqued around the pan. We're going to torque that drain plug, and that's 156 inch-pounds, which is right at 13 foot-pounds. There you go. So that's it for that. Okay, we're up here under the engine compartment. I'm going to point out the cooler lines, transmission cooler lines. There's one right here at the end of my screwdriver. You can see the clamp right there. And that's the oil coming from the tranny. And down below, down here, we have the line right at the end of my screwdriver, if you can see it there. And that's the line coming out of the cooler and back to the transmission. Now, we're awful close down there to the crankshaft and the pulley here with that bottom line. So I think what I'm going to do, I usually like to flush out the cooler if I can, if it's not too much of a hassle. The other thing is that cooler really doesn't hold all that much oil. So I think on this one we're going to go ahead and pull off this top line right here, and then we'll fill up the transmission with fluid, and then we'll start to car up and do the flush. But this here's the line we're going to take off right here. Okay, I've got the needle nose pliers in there. That's a spring clamp. You can grab a hold of that and slide it back. Okay, once you're done with that, you can grab that line and work it loose and pull it off. There we go. Okay, I got some 5/16 steel tubing here. It's actually a brake line type tubing, and that'll fit right inside there and seal nicely on that hose. I'm going to push it in until it goes down to about where that clamp is at, so it's tight so it doesn't want to get pushed out. Otherwise you're going to have a mess in the engine compartment. Okay, that feels pretty good right there. Okay, and then I went to a hose, and we're going to take that out here to a drain pan. And when we go to do the flush, we're going to start that up. Okay, right now I've got 6 quarts that I filled in through the dipstick tube right there. And we took out about 4 quarts. So yes, I overfilled it by about 2 quarts, but we're going to be doing a flush, so that fluid's going to be coming right back out. Basically what we're doing is we're going to be chasing the oil out of that transmission torque converter. When I start it, we're going to run it through the gears. We'll leave it in each gear for probably 2 or 3 seconds. And we're going to go till we see a good color change coming out of the cooler line. So yes, it's over full, but no, it's not a problem. We're not driving it that way. We're simply doing a flush. So 6 quarts is what I'm starting with right here. And if the fluid stays nasty and we can't get it to come clean, we'll do this a second time. But that's what we're starting with right here. So okay, we're getting ready to start the engine up here. And I'm also having him shift through the gears, spend about 2 or 3 seconds in each gear. There, shut it off. When it starts sputtering like that, that means you're getting to the bottom of the pan. We got to add some more oil. So this oil is not quite where I want it yet. We're getting close. So I'm going to add some more, and then we're going to do this again until I get the color change that I want. Okay, we're going to start this up again and finish this process till we see a nice cherry red color. It's looking a lot better, but I'm going to do just a little bit more. Go ahead and start it up. Yep. I'm pretty happy with that right there. That's looking pretty good. Go ahead and shut it off. Okay, the second time around I put in about another between 4 and 5 quarts. So at this point here we're going to hook the cooler line back up, and then we'll check our tranny fluid level, and then that'll be it. So okay, here's the old fluid we took out, and see if I can get a little new. There we go. Let's see a good comparison there. So there you go. Okay, we're all done with that flush. We're going to put that cooler line back on. Just push it on the hose barb to where it was, and then take your needle nose pliers and put that clamp back where it was. And that'll be it for that cooler line. Okay, we're going to check this transmission fluid. And right here's the cool level right here. Here's the hot level right up here where the second notch is. And we want it basically at room temp, somewhere in between there, because as the fluid heats up, it's going to expand. So we're going to check it right now. So right now we're probably about a ½ inch below the hot mark here. So I'm going to say we're probably pretty good. We're going to take it out for a drive and recheck it, get it up to temp, and it should be real close to that hot mark at that point. So right in this general area, you're going to be good as far as level with it, you know, at about room temp or just above. And once it's up to temp, we should be expanded up to about the hot range. So it gives you some idea. And that fluid definitely looks a whole lot better. Okay, the transmission total fill on this is a little over 7 quarts. I ended up using just over 10 quarts to do this flush in order for it to come clean. So it gives you some idea how much fluid. If your fluid looks that nasty, it's going to take a little bit more than what the tranny total fill is. So thank you for watching my video. Be sure to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/c/Donsoil. I'd like to introduce you to Amsoil synthetic lubricants. We have the most complete line of synthetic lubricants on the market that offer you greatly reduced wear, extended drain intervals, longer equipment life. You can check that out at my website, donsoil.com. I also have a website for looking up fluid capacities. It's fluidcapacity.com. You can go there and print off the capacity of your engine oil, cooling system, transmission, transfer case, differentials. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Don Synthetic Lubes. Thank you, and have a great day.